Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wookie with StartupTrading.com. It is 11 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, November 6th. So before we get into technical analysis, let's just look at the predicted scheduled news events for the day. Right, we had the Bank of England overnight. It looked like they were expected to stay pat at 4%, and they stayed pat at 4%. Don't really follow them, but it was as expected. And if you look at the charts, you really can't see that event happened. So in line and as expected. So as we look down the rest of the sheet for maybe U.S. news, we got natty gas at 10:30. They used to call that the Widowmaker. I don't know if they still refer to it as that or not. You got Barr speaks at 11, right? Let's see what he's yabbering about. Community development and audience questions expected. So, boring topic. Uh, and then looking at Williams, right? He's going to be talking about natural interest rate at an event. Uh, so that's can't be, very interesting. Audience questions expected again. So it's these audience questions on those two that would be the wild card, right in the 30 minutes before the Europeans leave for the day. So that's a little dicey. But Hammock's gonna speak at. I have two new puppies, by the way, so you can hear them playing in the background. Uh, so Hammock's going to speak at noon at the Economic Club. This can, with audience questions expected, this one, low liquidity over lunch, potentially after the European session. I would expect this one to potentially have some headline risk more than the first two, but you have to realize that the first two, right, are right at the 11 o'clock reversal period, potentially, and, there's usually a little bit of a shake and bake. It's not as bad as our U.S. close between 3 and 4 o'clock, but that last half hour can get a little bit of a you know ramp one way or the other. Uh, Looking at 3:30, most of us won't be trading. I wonder, this is marked as an orange star. Let's see. It's a discussion, central banking and the future of payments. I can't really see why that would be marked off. I mean, it's the 30 minutes before the close. Whether or not he's jabbered or not, there's going to be volatility in the last 30 minutes of the trading day. And then that gets us in. They've already wiped off non-farm payroll for tomorrow, right? It's not even on the board anymore. So we don't have to worry about that if you're into that. So let's get into some TA. This was the overnight coming into yesterday's session, right? And then as we look at, what happened, this was the blue was that overnight distribution, and then we had that just a the Superman pattern going up until about the last hour of the day. Then it slowly trickled down for from 3 to 4, and then it accelerated down a little bit at between 3:30 and 4. So as you look at those nodes, right, it just went back from this shelf to this shelf on the ES, and the NQ was, you can just see how spiky this is. You know, that's not great structure. And it's usually one side getting screwed, and in that case, early on, it was the bulls, and then anyone who was holding for higher in the last hour, they got nothing. Looking at the fibs, and these are just the session fibs. These are nothing important like the ones Jack shares. It's just something I use to try to keep me out of trouble. If you keep looking for, like, the gray, the shaded obviously is overnight, the non-shaded is bell to bell. But if you were looking for shorts, right, every time a new high is made, this lower one resets, uh, and then it's just not going, right? So it's looking for shorts coming from a high, and if you're looking for shorts, you're redrawing, 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 redrawing. It's almost like your map app saying, uh, recalculating, recalculating, recalculating. If you keep doing that, you're going the wrong way, right? So that's one of the reasons I watch this, just to make sure that between the bells, because the and most traders don't realize this. The overnight session generally only has about 15% of the session volume, right? But it's a long period of time, right? So you can get lulled into sleep, right? Thinking that it's the time and volume of it is the price action. If we're trading as day traders, is significant for us. But once the bell rings, right, that has a little bit less meaning. The patterns from the overnight, you can watch them, but you can see that it was just redraw, 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 and then there was no redraws at all, right? After 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday night for the Bulls, and then but from and then you really crossed over that 61.8 uh, for the Bears, before 10 o'clock even that night. So, anyways, I beat that up enough. And looking back at yesterday's session, with all that being said, right? And Jack pointed this out in the room last night. The toss one day expected move, right? That's your one sigma move. You know, it doesn't mean you're going to trade top to bottom. A lot of times you hit, one side or both sides, or you might hit, the bottom for the Nasdaq and the top for the ES during the day, or you might hit the tops for both of them on one day or the bottoms. It's not every day you hit the top and the bottom for both, uh, but it is something to, especially since a day before we had a two sigma move. Uh, it was more in line that we were just going to have a one sigma move the following day uh, you know, unless things are getting out of hand. So I always say that I added this to our technical analysis watch, right, by marking these drawings every day for us, just to let you know that you need help. If you once you get out of the one sigma move here to the top of the bottom, you either need a new catalyst, you need help from the VIX, you need something to be changing or forcing price out of that expected move, within that 24-hour period, there's got to be something going on, right? So um, I think I beat that up, but if you that was one of the reasons that I was trying to get long in the morning, and then just watching the patterns overnight and that reaction when we got that. In the overnight session off of that expected move, and then we also had the underwater trades that went off of the Nasdaq, and then by the opening bell, right, you had that last little flush, and then just right up. So I think I beat that up. So as we look at where we're at, right, we had this 6 week distribution coming across. Uh, if I turn it, this looks a little bit different. If you turn off the extend, I'm gonna leave it on for what we're doing. But we have not traded between the bells to 67, 80, 75 yet. It did not trade between the bells yesterday. Uh, so we've got, three untested points of control above us. We got this one that's untested below us, that's near us, right? This is at 67, 80, 75. The next untested below is at 65.40 basically, which is that this pound down uh, on the bottom of the 6 week consolidation didn't even fill between the bells. So as we come across and look at that, just keep that in mind. But we could just be backing and filling this sucker bar, right, and see what happens. Um, so as we come across, we had some structure to the upside in the Russell and the Dow. You can see they both traded a lot of that structure, and the Dow traded all of it in the overnight session. We had some, excess in period A. It's below 68.09. We've already traded under that twice in the overnight session. So below this uh, overnight low, right? uh, you're back into a little bit more danger for the bulls, right? And we'll see if one thing to watch is if the Nasdaq can get down and test its, which is around 25,615 ish. You can zoom in and look at the price action. So the title of my video today is will there be much action around the Q630? So, looking at one thing to note, right? The call wall for the day and the week was at 7K, right? If we go down and look at the bottom of the sheet, right, and it's going to be this way to the end of the year just because of this JP Morgan thing. 7,000 is the long-term resistance into the end of the year, and then you can see, 6,900, has some gamma, and the rest of them really are dwarf under in that. So as we look at, coming into yesterday, it was still 7,000 around for the high for the week and the day or whatever. It's moved down to 6,900 now, which kind of makes sense. We closed the cash market at 6,800 yesterday, so that's still $100 higher than we closed yesterday, right? So overnight we're up about 6 points, so we'd be about 68.04 each. And then as we kind of look back and forth, so watch 6,900. If we were to get up there again, that's going to be about 100 points higher. I don't know if that's really in the cards for today. We'll just have to see. Looking at the SPY, you can see it's a little tighter. We are currently trading on the SPY 678 half after closing at 677 half. So we're up about 10 points or a dollar on the SPY. And then, so you can see from 678 uh, up to, I would say, 682, 683, somewhere in there. That's, where you've got some form of agreement for price range between the bears and the bulls today. 684, 685 starts getting a little bit just into bulls only. And then for the day, the 685 is supposed to be the call wall, but you can see you got 680 has a lot of gamma for the week, 685, 690, and then you're really pushing it above 690 on the SPY. So here's where I'm coming up with. I hope I'm still going. Just looked over at my chart. So just checking this out. So anyways, 630, there we go. 630 has a lot of gamma for the week and today, right? You've got 20,000 calls expiring today. Uh, for the week, you've only got 30,000. So 2/3 of these calls are expiring today for the week. And on the puts, you got 15,000. And for today, you got, that can't be right. Yeah, you got 15,000 for the day, and you got 31,000 for the week. So half the puts are expiring on that 630. So long story short, if magically the market maker could pin 630 today, they're going to make the most money, right? They're not going to have to pay the puts for today, and they're not going to have to pay the calls for today. Underneath the calls, right, they don't have to pay them, obviously. And then for every dollar below, they have to, pay the puts, but not the calls, and the vice versa. So you can see that above 630, there's more calls that expire today, so it's still a little bit worse for them above 630. So as we look at uh, really the expected high of the day. So this 630 is going to be around 26,015 maybe, uh, and that's where that action is. The expected high range of the day is about 25 points under that, or whatever, 40 points under, right in that neighborhood. So a dollar down. So basically, the expected high move of the day lines up fairly close with 629. So what I'll be watching for And I don't want to have a bias, and that's obviously going to be above yesterday's high uh, to get up to that, expected move of the day, and then right under this, right around this, just over 26,000 is going to be uh, where that number is. That would be most beneficial to the market maker. So I'm going to watch to see. I'm going to watch, everything that Jack's got going on for sure, as I always do. But I'm going to be watching to see if we can get above the VWAP and hold above the VWAP or not. Um, and then there is room to go up. I still think that there's a high probability that we get up to 628, 629, but I'm not just going to go long on any pullback. I want to see some action confirmed, because if you look, that's almost 160 to 200 points. It's 160 above this swing high right here to get up to the expected move of the day, and it's 200 points above there to get up here. So I think if we're going to get up there, there's time to get in that trade. To be honest with you, after we cross over uh, this 625 area, because you're looking at 160, and you don't have to get it all, right? So we're either gonna get over there or we're not. I'm gonna be very particular with where I try to get involved with that side of it. If not, until we cross over 625, I'm just gonna be ignoring it and not paying attention to it. But I still think there's probably a 70% chance at some point in this session that we get up there. Now, and like I said, I'm not just gonna buy and hold, thinking that, because we got a 70% chance of getting up there, that's what I'm doing today. So here's the VWAP we're coming into. We'll see if, we start getting a little bit of a rotation up there. And keep in mind the way the market moves, we could just drive up there. And maybe it'll be one of the catalysts. Maybe it'll be one of those yabbering heads says between 11 and 12 that make us spike up there. Some new news supposedly, but I would look for that. I know I beat this up a little bit. You guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at next, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.